Test, test.
Not really, because nobody's doing it.
You are officially streaming.
Ladies?
Ready to go. We'll be done by noon. It's 11 o'clock, called the meeting to order. First,
I did.
Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Well, we've got Charlotte, Hope, Barb, Mike Yeager, Gretchen is away, Chris is not here, and I haven't heard from Justine or Evelyn.
Okay. And we have the minutes of September 25?
I think so.
I got two different dates, 27th and the 25th. Okay, so it's the 27th. Is there a motion to approve? Any corrections? Second? Is there a second? I second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We have not a lot of activity on the planning boards. We have another cancellation, so I have no report. If we do have any applications, I'll make sure that Gretchen gets them in a timely manner.
Wow. On to number 4
On the
already?
floor, you're on. You're on, Mike.
Jeez.
Rolling, we're rolling.
Okay, well, not much to report there, other than obviously we successfully got unanimous approval from council on the species, the invasive species ordinance, and it will come up for second reading and public comment at the next meeting. And then, of course, I think it's,
What will that date be, Mike? Any-
that will be, okay, we have done the 2 October, so November 1 is the next meeting. It should be that date, and then I'm not totally, up to speed on exactly what happens, but I think it's 20 days.
Okay.
And it would become effective on, don't quote me, but the 21st of November, my 70th birthday. So,
You're catching up.
I'm going to be an endangered species, I guess, by then. But, I think it's roughly around then is when it'll become law. And we obviously are going to want to talk about how we get this published, passed out to all the right people, and be good conversations for the future agendas.
Okay. Justine is not here. Any idea what happened at the conference?
Two things,
Okay.
2 awards happened certainly for our environmental commission. We won an award for Ocean Fest, and the application was deliberately set up
Excuse me.
so that,
You're on.
sorry.
You're on.
okay. The application for this particular award for our participation and organization with another non-for-profit. So that was our recommendation in the application. And I can read the application to you if you care to hear it. I'm pretty sure I brought it with me. And so, yeah, if you hold on for 2 seconds,
Sure.
I will do that. Here it is. So we applied as an organization supporting a nonprofit in our community, and that nonprofit was New Jersey Audubon Nature Center. And the project title was Ocean Fest, and it was started in January 2022 and completed in June 11th, 2022. It was nominated by our Environmental Commission, and we had to list 3 people who were familiar with the project but not members of our commission or of that nonprofit. So we listed 3 women who helped us alongside, who have been helping the Nature Center for years and years, and they would be Jill Beyer, Barbara Fisher, and Glenda Ulzelman. And we had to give their phone numbers so that they could be called to verify whatever we submitted. And this is what we wrote about that project. We said, the Environmental Commission of the City of Cape May was first notified about a brand-new Ocean Festival proposal during our January Environmental Commission meeting, January 22. Gretchen Whitman, New Jersey Audubon's Nature Center Director, explained about the ideas for the festival. She proposed that the city's Environmental Commission might be sponsors both financially and also there at the event, enhancing our commitment to stewardship for the city and the sea. The event was to be held on June 11th, which is very close to World Ocean Day, in which the planet celebrates oceans around the world on June 8th. There was an affirmative response from the city's commission, and our budget built in enough funds for educational purposes. Cape May City's master plan and the conservation element created in 2019 specifically recognizes the Nature Center of Cape May and New Jersey Audubon's partnership. Their goals, in part, are to encourage educational experiences with emphasis on the stewardship of Cape May Harbor and the Atlantic Ocean. We in the Commission, as stakeholders and stewards, fully recognize the tremendous opportunity to bring parents and children together at Ocean Fest. Moreover, our city's Environmental Commission has stayed apprised of the NJDEP's climate change scientific reports and also ANJAC's repeated information to keep our ocean clean. Specifically, ANJAC's issue of a magazine that we all receive, June 30th, 2020, informed us that New Jersey is warming faster than the rest of the Northeast region. The article stated that as the temperatures rise, causing unprecedented heating, intense droughts and floods will also be on the rise. Even more serious warnings were offered that the ocean acidification resulting in dead zones could create historic loss of commercial important shellfish. Obviously, the city of Cape May is an exceptionally beautiful seaside town, and our concerns gathered from scientific data presented by ANJAC about protecting our boundaries are taken exceedingly seriously by our mayor, our council, our environmental commission, and our green team. Thus, the first Ocean Fest became an amazing educational opportunity, not only for our community, but for those who participated. About 500 people attended the first Ocean Fest at the Nature Center. The Environmental Commission is and was overjoyed to be a partner in Ocean Fest. So we had to present Gretchen's letter with a request for the budget in January. We also gave all the press releases that we could possibly find about that, and there were a ton of them. As you can see, there were magnificent posters that were in, you know, the newspapers and so forth. And we also had to create a schedule that was presented that day, and we had to include pictures. So this was set up with the tents, and this was just during the setup time, so it doesn't show fully all the participants, but you can see the seining that goes down on the harbor so that people can find out what lives in the ocean water and the harbor's waters, and then some kids participating. So we had plenty of pictures, and we had crafts going on all day by the green team and by the commission members, and Justine set up a station whereby she created all-natural homemade pesticides. So people came up to her particular station and weighed and measured various ingredients so that they could wipe their hands and take home some of the solution for homemade pesticide. And if you have a homemade pesticide, you are limiting then, as you're by the shore, non-point sort pollution. And so it was a tremendous day. We were very proud to be there, and it must have paid off. Because the award, I guess Justine collected that day, she did go. She also had turned in, and I don't have the official one, but for Mayor Mullock. Mayor Mullock won as the only mayor in the state of New Jersey to receive a leadership award in these categories. An advocate for the conversion of a police fleet to electric vehicles, a push for the construction of sustainable practices on municipal buildings, including City Hall, for solar panels, and for the new firehouse, which met LEED certification, assisted in the jitney service, reducing automobile usage, powered by natural gas as opposed to petroleum-based products, serves on the green team, which seeks to develop avenues of sustainability, encouraged installation of electric vehicle charging posts, which will be developed for public use, explained and explored the recapture of water pumping energy expenditures, in addition to wind renewables for the forthcoming desal plant, and approved the expansion of the Environmental Commission by a non-resident specialist. So that was that particular award, and I don't know what these certificates or plaques look like, but Justine will show you all at some point. To win in 2 categories is somewhat of a
They were the only,
challenge.
they were the only 2 that we actually even put forth, right? You know,
There were only 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is kind of cool.
So
We
they
wanna-
decided this sometime after, when did this, they have a committee to review this stuff? How did, any idea how
Yeah,
they did it?
actually, this all had to be submitted by the end of August, and then they have, I'm not sure how many employees
Okay.
Anjac has, but they then reviewed and analyzed, as opposed to, you know, there are maybe 300 or 400 Anjacs in the state of New Jersey, and I'm not sure how many submitted, but it will, the next time you get a booklet, we get them quarterly, some of this information will be more fully explained. But in
So,
terms,
so Justine actually was there to accept
she
the award?
was, she
She
was,
received it, cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Because then she came back to my house, you know, a week or so later and was really terribly excited. I didn't see, you know, but we worked on some other projects for the commission for your approval as we go through. We looked at the budget together, and so that will be a hefty thing for us to see. But also, I'd like to offer this to Mike right now. I know that Mike is on a committee for a proposed police station. So there is a resolution, Mike, and I'm going to give that to you so that you have it for your files.
Okay.
And this resolution is 10305/2011. So this is a very old resolution, but it's been used over and over again in the city as we try to adopt green building practices for civic, commercial, and residential buildings. And it was passed by these people, Murray, Swain, Wichterman, and Mahaney. So this is your green building, and
All right,
on
good.
this side were all of the sustainable practices for design and construction for the new firehouse.
All right, great.
It's in a green folder.
What is the number, Charlotte? 103?
It was 103/05/2011.
Thank you.
Good. You know, and remember, Justine did come to council meeting last time, and during the open portion, public portion of the meeting, she, you know, congratulated Cape May and the mayor, and the mayor got his certificate, so it was nice. She shared that with everybody.
Oh, good,
Yeah, yeah.
good.
It was very nice. So, I mean, if you live streamed it, you would at least see the mayor's plaque.
Okay,
But,
all right.
yeah, it was really cool.
Great.
Okay. That was good. Thanks, Charlotte. Ocean warming, do you want to have a report on that, Charlotte? You want to talk about that, or is that?
Sure, I'm doing a lot of talking.
Well, listen, we can either do that or the budget. I don't care which one. Is the budget next? The budget next, and
Sure.
then we'll come back.
Okay.
I guess this is what you would, this is what we propose now for our budget for next year?
Right. And it's open to everybody's opinion, discussion, whatever. This is just a draft.
And how much budget, how much money did we put in for last year? How much was approved for last year for our committee, Mike? Any idea?
5,000.
5,000, yeah.
And 1,200 for secretary.
Yes.
By the way, I would like to say
So we're looking to really step up on what we're doing here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
that Mrs. Nelson, she's an amazing secretary. And what she does with minutes is such a superficial task of what is demanded of her. Every time I turn around, I'm at her house needing another report, or someone else is. So just to let you know that there's a whole lot more, and you could tell from just these applications for ANJAC awards, getting all those photos, and, I mean, there's a lot more to it, plus all the state reports that we have done over the last year. So, just to say that.
Okay, so that's, I have no problem with that part of it. And for the Nature Center, looks like we're looking for a total of 5,000 broken down
Right.
into those four items.
And the new part in that particular equation is affording Cape May City Elementary School visits to the Nature Center. You know, if you're there, and certainly Meryl is there, you know, working in the gift shop, hundreds and thousands of little kids are jumping off of school buses. And Cape May City Elementary School isn't amongst any of them, and here we are. So I asked Gretchen about that, and she said she would love to have Cape May City Elementary School coming. So that's the deal, and probably the high school too. I mean, if we were thinking about it. I know that Jeff's kids were there the other day helping with the elementary school kids. They were Jeff's kids in the biology department at the high school, the regional high school, were helping some of the younger ones with projects. It was an amazing day. Meryl, can you talk about that a little bit? Cindy Ziff was there from Clean Ocean Action.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know which other organizations were there, but an amazing number of, like 3 busloads of high school students. And there was a tent set up outside, and they were going from one station to another with lessons from Gretchen and Emily, and lunch was served, and it was a whole day event.
So a lot happens down there every day. And I learned, too, that this summer, the Nature Center, generally in the past, has served children in the morning, with classes starting with youngsters as young as 4 and 5, going up through maybe, you know, grade 6 or 7. Well, this year, they not only served children in the morning, but they had to add classes in the afternoon for youngsters. Demand was so great. So it's tremendous that after 25 years, the growth continues and the need continues.
And it's great fun to see parents who came as children bringing their own little ones.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that this part of the budget doesn't get hit at all, but we'll have to see.
Right.
I mean, I think it's, well, you know, like you said, this is good money spent. Next item was the brochure for the invasive species. I guess that's what you're talking about here, right?
Right.
Again, I don't know what the actual costs are, but
I don't.
but I certainly, maybe we can dovetail this. I'm not sure how hard it's going to get reviewed by the administration. I don't know. But
Right.
certainly, there ought to be money in there for it. Okay. Anybody else have any comment on that? Sure.
That budget, is that based on the history of other publications?
Right.
It seems like we might be able to do it for a little less, but it probably requires some research.
It's not inexpensive.
That can certainly be researched, and if somebody wants to, you know, chair that particular publication, that would be wonderful. And And as we were talking about too, Hope, that there are more ways to communicate with the public than simply something they read, such as what we were talking about. Could you speak to that?
About becoming a spokesperson. Charlotte's asked me to, Charlotte has a list of things for all of us to do while she's gone.
Everybody gets their assignment.
And asked if I would sort of be a representative going to different, excuse me, different organizations around town and just speaking about what we're doing and explaining some things like the invasive plant ordinance and some of the other projects. And it occurred to me just now, I just wrote it down, we could go with the recipe for the pesticides and things. We could do a bunch of things like that. So, yes. So I've agreed to do that starting in January.
Yeah. And, you know, we have many civic-minded community groups. Certainly the Garden Club, certainly the Kiwanis Club, and then there are private clubs that could be, you know, go to the board members and ask the Yacht Club, the Beach Club, and so forth, to get some of this information. Sometimes just getting the word out in a personal way is, and the Realtors Association. There are Realtors Association meetings. There are certainly council meetings that we could come back to again, just to continue to remind the public as an ad, just as any advertisement. We need to, sometimes the listening ear may be better than the speaking or the reading or whatever. So if we can get the information out in a multitude of ways, it's a good idea, I think.
Charlotte, Mark Allen on his radio program is always looking for guest speakers.
Oh, could you kindly put that down too?
Okay.
Thank you. That's terrific.
So it's, I think it's really important, you know, now that the invasive species, once that ordinance is completed, it has to be something that's given to every new home buyer, homeowner, home builder in this town. It's a must, and I think it should be, it's not the only thing. I mean, water conservation, amazingly, we have policies in this city. They're available to view on the website, but there are so many people that have no idea that we've got water conservation rules in place now.
I
You
just
can't
found
just
that
do
the other
anything you
day,
want
the
with
whole water,
water.
I'm sorry, let me, the whole
and
water
I'm just saying
conservation
that-
policy, it's in there.
Yeah, but I think handing a document that is comprehensive to people that are, and also, excuse me, the landscape companies that come into this town, if, you know, they have, first of all, if they get a mercantile license to work here, not many of them do because they're more like state or county licensed, but nonetheless, documents should really be given to every one of them so they understand. I think most of them understand water conservation, I hope, when they set up irrigation systems for people, et cetera. But I'm just envisioning a comprehensive publication, and money for a comprehensive publication, it really has to be allocated, and I'll certainly be an advocate for that when the time comes. But you know, maybe this commission should be, you know, deciding what exactly that publication should look like.
Oh, right.
Maybe we could, as opposed to just making a Dirty Dozen plant alert, maybe we could incorporate some other things into there. Make one flyer, but then have a place where people could go for details. We say, we have water conservation rules.
Yeah.
Maybe list a couple of the important ones, like don't water when it's raining. And then I have a source where people can go for the details. We could put that into one not one page, maybe a couple-page flyer that could go into a Realtor's package. I really think that has to be done. I'm absolutely in agreement with that. That should be,
Yeah,
every
if the-
single
if-
Realtor
because-
should give that out.
The ordinances themselves nobody reads ordinances.
No, but
Sorry.
summaries are easy to do.
The newspaper, the newspapers usually pretty much summarize an ordinance that was recently passed, but again, somebody might read it and they're recycling the newspaper, and that's the end of that. We have to have something that communicates to everybody new in town and reminds people that live in town, this is the kind of stuff that's important.
And I would like to think that council would say, I mean, look, this part of this publication for this ordinance could be anywhere in the budget. I mean,
Well, I'm
but I
thinking
would
the
like to
same
think-
way.
But I would like to think that council would look to us and say, look, this is your purview, this is what we want you to do.
Right.
And you got the 6,000, run with it, and do it right.
And
You know,
I,
that way we know we're doing it, and they don't have to pretty much,
Yeah.
it's our responsibility, and
Yes,
and
yeah.
they're giving it to us.
Yes.
And that justifies us getting that in our budget.
I feel that way, and if they don't want to give it to us, then I would say, well, then you got to get it someplace
gotta
else
put it
in the
somewhere
budget.
else, that's right.
But this is where it belongs.
I absolutely agree, and I would really like to be part of writing that.
I think we need to consider how people are receiving their knowledge in this day and age and technology. We probably need an Instagram and a few other things.
That's
where
probably
it's
true.
Scrolling by, rather than reading it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, but I absolutely agree,
both,
right.
not-
I just had a conversation with somebody about this on another topic, and it's absolutely true, but you also need a piece of paper in front of you. People still see that, and if it's handed to them as like part of a package, then
I'm
they,
looking at my own family, and if I hand them a piece of paper, but if I text them or, deliver it in a different manner, it gets,
and then it's gone electronically. So that you're right, there should be that. I'm not arguing against it, but I'm also arguing for
Well, I think we
a
need-
piece of paper that sits there and has a picture on it and
future
says things.
generations are not absorbing from paper necessarily. They're
Well, mine are.
they're not
No.
reading newspapers.
Yeah.
They're not picking them up.
No, that's why we're talking about a flyer.
Right, I know that, yeah.
Yeah. No, it should be in the newspapers, it should be in all the other things, but a flyer that comes, for example, as a packet from Realtors.
But it could also be put online,
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Why can't,
delivered online.
why
I do
can't
not.
the Cape May City website have an environmental link on the website with environmental?
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. Mike about.
Issues.
Who is the IT contact now for the city? I mean, Dan left. Do we have such a person?
If there is, I don't know who that person
I mean, I
is.
think we ought to, if the city doesn't have one, we ought to have
We need one.
somebody to contact to say, this is,
Yeah.
we have this idea,
Yeah.
but we want you guys to help us also put it together.
Yeah.
Right?
I go to Lou Belasco for everything.
Lou's got too many hats.
He's got very many hats, yes.
But I mean, I think we ought to have somebody there that we can run it by them, like you said, the Instagram. I mean, we can do that stuff.
Yeah, no, I-
Under the auspices, though, of somebody.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there could be a link for water-related issues, a
Yeah.
link for invasive species issues.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, but what's disappointing is, for example, the fact that the water conservation information's on the website and people know nothing
Still aren't.
about it.
So it has to scroll.
That we've got to
in front of
get them, we have to get them to that, we have to educate them at least that, would you go to the website, go to the city website, there's a lot of information on the city website, but having an environmental section would be,
But Mike, if they go to a page, it should look like the ads that Justine did for the Star and Wave. It shouldn't be text, and references and everything else. It should be one page with pictures.
It should, if we do
Put online.
a flyer, it should be the same on the link. For example, if we have a flyer with pictures on it, and whatever we need to say, that it should be the same thing. If they open it on the website, it should look like that. Here's my argument. I agree with you that it should be. We get the the little magnets that tell you what to recycle and what not to recycle. It's on my refrigerator. So people still do that, you know. So I just think there has to be both, and I think that that's a really good example. And whatever I read online is not going to stay in here, trust me. But it's right in front of me as well.
You know, like, good morning, here's your invasive species for the day.
That would be fun. Who's going to do that every day?
So I guess there ought to be IT links for actually,
Yeah.
also for this one and actually for the Exit Zero and Star and Wave type things. Like part of the ad is check out this.
Check this
Always-
out, right.
always do this.
Yes.
That would be great.
So I think that's justification. I think that is part of the, not only asking money for the hard copy, but also the IT links of how to do it. For both 4 and 5, 3 and 4, I'm sorry.
Right, very good.
All right. And the last one, I need some reasoning behind this with Craig Hurlis. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Okay, so over the course of serving on the Environmental Commission for 40 years,
That's,
Yeah.
what?
oh yeah, I'm not kidding. One of my personal chief complaints is that we, as a commission, are represented by wonderful people who have served over the years, including people like Herb Anger in the beginning and so forth, and Jay Schatz. But we never have had a professional to take our ideas to other boards. And in having had meetings with Craig Hurlis, I am so thrilled to know that his knowledge base and his intentions for the city, he knows about all of the local ordinances, the environmental regulations. He knows all of the boards. He knows all of their goals. And if we have some sort of needs to get out to these other folks in an environmental fashion, he could be the one who would have the authority to say, look, these are the ordinances, this is our master plan, this is how the Environmental Commission works within these parameters, and you folks ought to all be on the same page. And let them know at these meetings where he's present that we have communication that needs to go forward.
So you're talking about having him at these meetings?
Not
That's what you're paying him for? Or,
if it's if there's a knowledge that needs to go to the other boards,
you would ask him to come to a meeting?
yes.
Okay.
And
You would
then-
ask him to come here,
Right,
and then, of course, the
Take-
next step is he
take the
takes
word
it,
out.
he takes it to the
right.
various.
Because if we have a member from, say, well, we do have one for the planning board, one from HPC or zoning board at each meeting, that doesn't infiltrate into the rest of the realm of that particular board. Craig has an amazing background. I think he's been with the city probably 20 years. What do you think?
Longer than that, because I was on the planning board for 15 years, and that was quite a while ago. And he does the zoning board, too.
Yeah, I asked him, I think it is like 25. It was an incredible number, yeah.
Exactly. So he's been through so many preparations of master plans for the city. He knows what we've accomplished, where we need to go with our planning, and how to execute it. So that's,
So he would come, and it's a fee per meeting?
probably, yes, that's
Okay.
the way it works.
You didn't ask him what that fee might be?
I didn't even talk.
You're guessing at the 6,000?
Yes, exactly. How many meetings could we have Craig Hurlis for that amount of money
Okay.
when
The only other way
necessary?
around that would be to have him put that in his budget for when he gets hired by the various, like zoning board. And he puts it in a proposal to do so much work, and you can pay him on that basis. You
I
might
think
be able to
he is.
include that but it's just part of his job description that he has to do this.
That would be wonderful. I don't know how to do that, but we
Or-
have a council
Or
member.
a stipend?
Yeah, I mean, but that's part of his duty is to do that, or no, but that, I don't know if that ought to come from us, but it ought to be in what he just charges for whatever his fees are for the planning board, whatever his hourly rates are, it ought to be encompassed in that somehow. I'm just talking out loud here. I'm not saying I don't disapprove of this,
Sure,
but I think the idea is fine, but I'm not quite sure how to pay him.
okay, I
Well-
understand that.
And that, so we'll look, leave this item here, and what we do is when we get to the budget discussion with the CFO here, we'll let them tell us what the best method is.
I'm not sure who's going to attend that meeting, but certainly somebody from this committee has to be when the administrator or the deputy
Yeah, well,
manager
we can talk-
discusses that.
we can talk
Somebody
to-
has to be there for us to explain this.
well, we'll talk to Neil ahead of time, too,
Okay.
and give him a heads up on it.
Could you do that?
I would be there, but I'd rather have somebody
I'll
else come.
I'll talk to Neil also about it, but yeah, I mean, I could be there.
I mean.
The
two or three
meetings
people-
are
Two or
open.
three people can go from this committee. It doesn't really make
Sure,
much difference.
sure, yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to not have us there when they discuss this. Okay, that's, I'm not, listen, when I was the assessor, we always had to support whatever we wanted to do, every line by line item. And he would say yes or no, bing, bing, bing. And then you're not quite sure whether you're going to get what you got, but, because ultimately you'll see what you got, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know who's going to hear these things. I mean, whether it's the manager, deputy manager, whether it's Neil, I don't know who's actually going to sit in on these things. But wherever they do that, we ought to have a couple, three people there to explain what we're doing. Put our best foot forward.
Good advice.
We'll give it a go.
All right,
It's 23.4, the budget, versus 5.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's okay.
yeah.
I mean, look, I think some of these items are really justified. Now, whether they're in some other part of the city budget, I don't know. But I don't know. That's the thing that we have to really hammer home.
well,
Good work on this,
Yeah.
though, really,
well,
no
way to
kidding.
go,
we're just thinking out
It's
loud.
like any budget, request, you gotta sell it.
And start high. Don't ever, don't be conservative, start high.
Well, that's what I did.
That's what you did.
Good job.
That's for sure. Yep.
Okay, I think the last item on the
Yeah,
meeting was, you wanted to speak about, you wanted?
I do. So I have certainly been, and as we all, if we can't listen to the news, we can't read a periodical without knowing that certainly the world is getting a little warmer. And this particular document that I'm going to cite now is from Woods Hole Oceanography Institute. And in particular, I decided to give you all a little bit more background because I know that the city council at the last meeting that I watched on 10/18/22 were giving an update on the seawall project for the city, which is extremely critical. And Dr. Farrell was here before that, talking about the dunes. So with this periodical, What is Ocean Warming? The rising ocean temperatures are driving unprecedented changes in global marine ecosystems, sea levels, and weather patterns. The ocean is a vital part of the Earth's climate system. It helps moderate the climate and slows the impact of global warming. Covering 70% of our planet, the ocean soaks up heat trapped in the atmosphere by CO2 and other greenhouse gases. Increasing ocean heat is closely linked to increases in atmospheric greenhouse gas concentrations, making the ocean an excellent indicator of how much the Earth is warming. Since 1971, the ocean has absorbed 90% of the excess energy added to the Earth's climate by burning fossil fuels. So this goes on for a very long time, and I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing, but rising ocean temperatures are connected to some weather extremes and can lead to more intense hurricanes, rainfall, and snowstorms. Warmer ocean waters can contribute to rising sea levels. This is called thermal expansion and could be the driver of a sea level rise over a long time. So what I wanted to think about is how could we negate or help to relieve some of these ocean problems and restore our oceans. And just as we grow green here on the lands, we can grow in the ocean. And I was wondering about seaweed off our shores. Certainly in my research, it says that disturbance of the sea bottom is going to have a great deal of impact on seaweed not continuing on. And we have had that because of our beach replenishment. We have disturbed the bottoms, so there is less green. And by the way, seaweed is not a plant, it's an algae. And so with the restoration of some seaweed out there, this should be explored, I think, by the committee as the seawall is being put up. What is the Army Corps of Engineers doing about seaweed to replenish the bottom of the ocean? And how have other communities handled this so that we're assuring that certainly we're a fishing community. We have, you know, that lobster house with the biggest, most giant, we're probably on the eastern shore, second or third maybe in the shellfish. Third? Thank you. So it's extremely important to take our knowledge base and go forward. And in the research too, it talks about people worldwide who are setting up seaweed farming around the world, and that a lot of it goes into feeding, you know, cattle and so forth once harvested. But we need to restore our oceans. We need to continue to have them work for us in sequestering the carbon dioxide. So it's just another little offshoot for us, but a very important one as we're looking at the seawall going up. That's it.
What's the status of the seawall? Where is that? What's happening on that? Any idea, Mike?
Well, the design,
The corner piece down at,
well, the corner piece is I'm not sure exactly where the Army Corps is, other than that, I don't think there's anything holding them up except their usual bureaucracy, what I call it. I mean, they have to go through all their process, but there's not anything that's going to stop them from doing it.
So the seawall you're talking about is connecting that to our existing.
Yeah, their seawall is going to be, it does the corner. I think it's 500 feet in length, and it's 17 feet high. And then it's going to come down gradually to our seawall, which we're proposing at 15 feet. It's at, 8 and change right now, so it's a fairly big change. Where we're at is that we got a presentation of a concept. It was a very nice concept. Hopefully an affordable concept, because they couldn't tell us what the cost was just yet, but definitely less complex than previous designs that we've seen. It will advance, it has to advance. We've got no choice but to advance this. And I also asked the question at council is, can we do this in stages? And they said, yes, that's possible, because, this is something that we have not, identified the funding for yet, but we have to. So if we have to do it in stages over a couple of years, we'll get it done, but it's got to get done. Anyhow, they'll probably be done before us, and then we'll continue on from there.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the committee? Commission? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Done. Mic's off.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
you can say all the bad things you want, right? No.